using grounds of travel. 3 lines of circuits over grounds and position lines of measure. Okay, set position location of systems off the set calculation. So I'm just going to go through frame lines, how this sets lines of calculation grounds. Operates location to its position of the DOS, remote controlling the body from inside the physical line, inside the TV line's conception itself. We live inside the TVs, which is the simulation game, guys. That's what you have to modify through, all right? Now, once you recognize that, then you stand the VAS and volume that processes everything of indicates and setting. So the DOS is going to be remote controlling the body itself and the physical grounds, the 12 lines of rotation setting in circuits of operation setting to the 12 rainbows in travel, okay? So it's binary system. So it's going to be very fast line provision in lines of communication setting. And you process that duplication as DOS, seeing its body in lines outside the signal. So it's going to leave the body itself line, but it's going to remote control it from the physical ground into the center operation and setting into its presence. So this is going to help you to identify how to see it in setting lines of the physical operation system, okay? To its travel region timeline, a set position. So the physical body being 24 lines, 24 signals, and 24 operations. 3 center line communication setting, 3 zeros, and set travel. Okay? So that times frames line centers into operation system in time flux over time center location, which is your sands of time. The central settings of 3 zeros operation setting will convert this system in 3 operations: past, present, and future of primer circuits and set traction. Converting operation signals in platforms and travel communication setting Merkaba, tesseract, and tetrahedron. Setting ground lines converts the set lines of high processing inside line communications. Yards, meters, metrics, and 1/3 grounds. Operation travels in direct lines and high signals and location into the simulation. All right. So that merges the settings to online centers to subline its travels point graphs. So the DOS position locations will be its ancestry, its history, and its celestial, fixing everything back to 0, 0 of operation, travels point lines graph. The configuration tone frame will be 0, 1 into the body frame. Okay, so the body will know exactly what's going on, as it will be remote control through the DOS itself. That implicates the copy and paste to its enabled to its default. 4 centers of directions, lines of settings, and cross lines of examinations. Cross lines is 0, and 3 centers of flux over travel. Time centers line connection setting converter operation lines with 2 platforms. Cross lines indicates centers, 3 zeros operation signals, 4 to 2 streaming set lines of grounds. That cross lines indicates the system of 0. Cross lines is 0 and 0, 3 lines of calculation grounds, and set position of systems all through calculation. Time centers times flux operates the signals and platforms are set tractions. Now this is all identified line position. You look really close, you can see the full figure, a configuration of physical body. How the DOS implicates the system into the mind of collaboration to settings to its tone line, operation line, communication line, directing lines, high operation signals in seconds, minutes, and hours of frame of operation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers of operation travel. Directing ground centers, process line direct centers, 3 wire signatures, and 3 line operation signals and travel communications. As the DOS will be implicated setting from the center operation setting and process all calculation lines existing and everything happening all at once. Travel points lines of graph, directing lines are in operation signals, process lines is 0, process lines is 0, process lines is 0, set line communication neutralize, and lines on neuralize everything information setting and process mind of empty space. So the body gets a true understanding into process line direct centers, how to go through longitude and latitudes to window frame of process line direct cell location setting and converting set lines of its simulation system. All through travel. Okay? So that's how it's going to be set up through the DOS. So it's kind of like paint by number. And each line has a binary recore. Calculation lines are reconverting line operation setting until they're attached in line operation system interactions. Converting position of center cloud to your internal cloud and to your iClouds. 3 line signals and lines operation setting into the mind. The memory quartz lines of flux over time frame into codecs. 4 to 2 streamings, 4 line signals into online grounds lines communication setting and set travel. Directing into the laser line operation signals in position location of platforms are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 line operation signals. Each line configurates the system and travels point lines graph, process lines position. In that position line is a black, which is the space, coming line direct centers, into security, which is the protection. Ground line operates the signals. Consolidated operates into its carbon base, directing to its database. That process line in location setting to its blue. Foundation system in communication setting, 3 lines of operation settings. Process line is 0, 1. So that set course centers times travels process line direct centers location system calculate line calculation grounds line communicates to its converting the operation system. Process line direct centers into lines in orange and process line communications in yellow. So it goes into chronological order, timestamps line position to its lattice, high operation signals and calculation system. Goes to its rainbow operation signals, process lines and settings. So we got position of 1 ground, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set lines of calculation grounds, set positional lines of set position of 5 lines of measure, and process lines of 6 lines of scale, sets communication lines and high position lines of calculation setting to 7 operation signals and travel. Only in 7. Okay, that's where you'll be. Through the body line and physical line communication. So that converts a half line charge length and time frame, process lines of DOS, line communication lines of wire signatures, directing lines into their attached locations sent to its mainframe that correlates the calculation ground lines to its process and position hardwired in line communication tether and attached line communication cerebral cortex lines of fluid operation lines of correlation setting attraction converting time frame lines operation lines of signal into high core centers and direct lines into cosmic universal alignment line direct lines and line operation signal line communication setting high operation lines of communication setting to surface that process lines and vacation system all through traction. So time centers calculate and modify body frame comes in energy line grounds into high operation signals. Process line position to its settings and lacing line communication lines into black and white. Sets course centers time frame into line signals and 3 centers of indications. Snowy graph interference. Process lines of 4 into 5 line operation signals. Okay, modulation settings. So your body becomes nothing but a TV reception line, pixelation graph, and a TV reception location setting, second location setting. So your body converting time frame will be broadcasting live, directing ground lines communicates to its AI influence, broadcast is location setting to its branding, directing its sole proprietor, directing line of AI generation line, ground line communicates and sending 3 line wire signatures, 4 lines of travel, process lines, position location setting, and position location of travel. That process communicates the system into ground lines and settings. The body turns into a pixelation graph, into modulation screens. Process of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Cross line angles and central line communication and graph calculations. Done by equation. Okay? So waiting on signal is the other half line operation signals. Process lines of 7, okay? Process lines of 5 into 12 line operations. So we convert the system, stays at 57, where the DOS implicates everything lines of travel. Converting line, everything line in position 3 zeros, brings it back to 3 fail safes. So the body understands the present, the center, the operation of the brain operates in the location setting, converts lines of hardware to locates to its mainframe, travels point frame to your server, crosses line direct centers, line conditioning, cross examinations, tweaking lines of wires, going through the back door, line operation signals, line communication, converting time frame, line condition, tweaking wires, the 3 lines of indicate setting, back in locations. Converting time centers, lines of travel. So we convert the line operation signals to 3 zeros operation, 2 centers of measure, and 1 scale of communication. Okay, so each one has indicate lines, 0 operation of 3, 0 operation of 2, and 0 operation 1. So the converting position of DOS comes in a battery reline, course centers, line direct centers, and 3 lines operation signals. Platforms over line into the equilibrium, process lines to its polarity, directing lines in constellation to its alignment, directing line ground operation same location to its void, process lines position of positive over negative, directing ground center location to translation. Travels to point lines, graph, mutation lines, and transcendence, communication setting, operation lines of signals, process location setting. Converting time centers locks, 3 centers, and 4 set lines of travel. Binary relines. So the DOS implicates the system in the centers of charge mechanisms, time frame, telepathy, and operation signals, line telekinesis lines, and line position location to intent, influence location setting, and 7 charge mechanism time frame. So it goes into the physical ground of operation lines, dimension lines, sail, set lines, communication lines of 3 seconds over lines of seconds, minutes over in flight. High operation line signals, process, communication system, attractions, convert to line and position logics, directing line, position locations, and setting. Defaults, lines enable, line communication, cross examine, crossing all line signals into neutralized to neuralized operation signals. Sets communication setting of 0, 1 of operation. 0, 1 of operation. Right here in set calculation. Done by equation. Okay, it's all be set up. Right? So that's it, done by equation. All right. So we're going to stop there because they're converting time frame, process lines to direct center location system. Okay, so we got it line calculation setting directions, process lines to void, into systematic line and to empty space itself. in travel communication. So the body conceptual line centers understands the lacing lines of white and black, black and white. Then it goes into coloration lines of pattern, pixelation graph, holographic line stream, location, line connection live, broadcasting, location setting, converting lines of pixelation graph, calculation, hologram, line, operation, line, position, location, travel, 3 lines, operation lines of zeros, 3 line communications back and 0, operation lines of 1, operation, sig, location, converting time frame line centers of travel. All right, so we process lines of lights and set lines of signals, converting time frame locks, tethers, in travel communications, snowy graph interference. So the D.O.S implicates the setting to the body frame. The pixelates the seconds, minutes, and hours that change flights over grounds. Sets position lines of tether and attach the setting location setting to its pixelation system that broadcasts everything live in its database of operation settings. Okay? Sets position lines of travel. Okay? And then it crosses its angles in set position, creating cross-line angles into simulation grounds. Okay, so it's motivating the system lines of calculation setting. So everything's being mode controlled now through the D.O.S. Okay, so you have snowy graph interference, and that process lines position locations, outline signals into square roots over triangulation. Okay, outline operation signals. So it puts the costume on. So it protects its identity of its body, mode controlling the system from the physical grounds of the center operation. Then it creates the calculation lines into blue line, which is the calculation setting to energy fields. Force field operation signals a 3-line ground operation lines of travel, converting operation location setting, converting time frame location setting as 0 operation lines of 1 operation signal. Set calculations. Times centers, times calculations, times pi. Sets lines, operation setting, interactions. Okay? So you got the void, you got security, and you got protection. So it converts the settings. Now it's operation location setting. So the D.O.S is going to travel in all directions. Okay, from here, point graph here, 1, travels at point 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12 line operations. Of zeros and process lines to its binary inside the body, so the body knows exactly what the D.O.S is implicating through as it's mode controlling its systems, all through recognition of time centers into its binary, to its coding, to its encryption. Done by equation. Okay? That's how it's all going to be set up in traction. All right? So we're going to stop there because it's so confusing what's going on in positions and settings when you go into 57 lines into travel communication. All right? All right. See you guys in DQ. That process line direct centers and lines of your test review and evaluations. Process lines classification A, level D. Okay? See you in 5.